morning, everybody, and welcome to TLC Live as every Wednesday. I'm Andrea Gomez, and my friend Orlando Sanchez is on the road going to Rio Grande Valley. He's going to have Platica and Politics today over there, and he's going to jump into the program very soon. He's just on the road right now. But we have a special guest, Ed Cabrera. He is running for U.S. Congress District 28, and he's also on the road going to one of the meetings with the GOP. He's gonna shake hands. He's gonna share his thoughts and his background, and he's introducing himself. He's just start running for this position, so it's a long, long way. A full year before the general elections, but also we're going to the primaries very soon in a couple of months. So Ed Cabrera, welcome to TLC. Thanks so much for your time. I know you were in Washington last week, and today you are in another county. And tell us a little bit of what you're doing over there.
Yeah, we have to get out and talk about the issues. Get in front of people and just find out the community. This race is about what the community and what their needs are. And each county, my district covers nine counties, so each one has their particular needs. And obviously, Henry Cuellar and the Democrats haven't been serving our community. So it's important that I get out there and shake hands and listen to people, break bread with them, and really understand what I need to do once I get to Congress. And I think we're starting to verbalize that very strongly. I also had a chance last week to go out to Washington and watch the swamp at work, and I'm so glad I'm back in South Texas.
So tell us a little bit about you, Ed, and and why you decide to run for office. But first of all, let's start with your background.
Sure. I'm a Cuban immigrant. My father was a political prisoner. He applied. They had a program back then called Freedom Flights. We came to America. My father, is very grateful, and I'm very grateful to be here. I went to University of Florida, became an engineer. I worked through college to pay for it. My father was, he was a busboy cleaning tables. My mother was a factory worker. I make a very mean Red Lobster biscuit. I worked there for 8 years to pay for college. I got hired by General Electric. They did me the biggest favor possible. They sent me down to work on the border in a maquiladora that they owned. So I lived in McAllen, Texas, and I worked in Reynosa. Two great things happened to me. One, I fell in love with South Texas, and number two, I met the love of my life, Maria Luisa, who is a third generation from that area. We've been married for 37 years. So, we have four children. GE want to accelerate my career. So I applied to Harvard Business School. I graduated from Harvard Business School, went to work on Wall Street for 35 years. I ran, Latin America department for Merrill Lynch. I was one of the youngest managing directors at the history of the firm. I retired about 4 years ago when I was working on Wall Street. I didn't want to give any money to the Cuomos, Mario, the father, and the pervert son. So I spent 6 months and a day at least in South Texas at my ranch to avoid giving them any money to spend. I retired about 4 years ago after sort of the winter Texan thing that I was doing, and everything was going great. Unfortunately, I caught prostate cancer. And through prayer, I was able to overcome it. I've been, in remission since then. And I promised myself I was going to give back. I've been a very blessed man. I'm very fortunate. I've got a great relationship with my God, and I've got a great family and a great country that I live in. And I wanted to give back. The country is heading in a bad direction, and I'm very, very concerned about that direction. You're seeing what the liberal progressive wing of the party and the Democratic side is doing. And as a Cuban, who has experienced socialism, I'm very concerned about the direction. I am basically the canary, in the mine. I'm telling you that the direction this country is going is going to end up very similar to what I saw in Venezuela. I was in Venezuela before Hugo Chavez and after Hugo Chavez, and I tell you that it ends very badly. And some of these policies by AOC and the gang and the progressive wing is very disconcerting. They have their candidate now here in my district. Jessica Cisneros is clearly a progressive on that side of the wing. And she's doing very well. She's surging and she's got Washington backing her up. And that's very disconcerting to a Cuban American like myself that has lived through the consequences of that. So I made a commitment. I've written a $250,000 check to my campaign. I'll write $1 million check to my general election campaign. I am committed. I basically have skin in the game, and my grandchildren's future.
Tell us about your district and for those that to understand what is the area that covers your district.
Yeah, I've got a very unique district. Like I said, it's nine county. It covers a large chunk of Texas. We have about 65% Latino, which is very important. You got to be able to communicate with Latinos. Some areas like Webb County, Zapata, Starr County are 90% Latinos. A lot of my opponents on the Republican side can't speak the language. How do you communicate with the community if not able to speak Spanish? There's a lot that can't speak English. A lot of them prefer to speak Spanish. So you got to be able to communicate with the community, and it's really hard if you don't have those capabilities to understand their needs. And remember, my district is D+5. D+5 means that it's 5% more Democrats than Republicans. We're going to have to flip. I think there is a trend. We have momentum. Republicans have the momentum. We're seeing a shift from Democrats. The Democratic Party has shifted to the left of our community, the Latino community, and our community in South Texas in general. And a lot of people are waking up and realizing that their values, they're conservatives, and their values reflect the Republican Party. So I think we have that momentum, but nevertheless, you need a candidate that can actually communicate with a Latino and the Anglos also, and bring together, unify those two groups of Republicans, and really try to convert those moderate Democrats that la abuelita and la mamás have always voted Democrat. So they always vote Democrat, but they really represent, their values really represent Republicans. So, and that's been my focus, is try to really work with the community and understand their needs. And whether I need to speak Spanish or English or, any other language, I'm there. And it's important to have that capability.
That's very important what you're saying, Ed, because it's very important to understand our community. It's not just because we're Latinos and we speak Spanish, we all the same. We're coming from different countries with different cultures, with different traditions. Even though we speak Spanish, sometimes, some words meaning different in another country. And we are not the same, but it's important to understand the culture. I call it cultural intelligence. It's very important to understand our culture, to know how to address the issues of each culture, and especially, in Texas, we have so many Latinos from so many areas and so many countries that is completely different. Even in the same country, like United States, it's like people from Texas is different from people from the north. So it is the same in Latin America. People from different areas on each country, they're different. At the end of the day, we're coming to this country for better opportunities. This is the land of opportunities. And that's what we need to concentrate on, better opportunities in this country. And so you were like saying the way you decide to run for office after you were retiring and you were like in your ranch, and after going through cancer, why you said like, okay, I need to run for office, I need to represent my community.
Right. I think it's important to give back to this country. I mean, listen, the opportunities I've received here is phenomenal. I have four children and grandchildren on the way, so I really want to secure that for them. I've spent a lot of time and effort, helping my children secure their futures. They're Ivy Leaguers. They've been involved. Politically. Unfortunately, I've got a couple skeletons in the closet. One is that half my children are liberals, but that's okay. They went to Ivy League schools, and they'll grow out of it. I'm already starting to see evidence that it's happening. But now it's time to address my grandchildren. I want to help my Lord in that effort. I think the socialists and the Democratic, the progressives, want to take faith out of society. Right? I mean, you're seeing same-sex marriages, you're seeing transgenders, issues that are just biblically wrong. And I'm a man of faith, and my wife is very strong there also, and we want to help in any way we can, and we've got to join the fight. I mean, sitting back and helping and writing checks to politicians, I did that for many years. But now it's time for everybody to kind of jump in. We're having some serious issues in this country, and we've got to jump in every way we can. And just simply sitting back and with a pina colada on my ranch and enjoying success I've had, and it's just not enough. And that's why I'm driving across 9 counties and spending time in these chicken lunches because it's important to make the effort and join the fight. And I think I'm hoping that more Republicans do that, and I'm seeing it. I'm definitely seeing where people are understanding how if we don't turn the House red, then the Democrats will continue to expand the government, attack our faith, do the things that are really disconcerting to me as a person.
Well, Ed, you said that you're original from Cuba and you also fall in love with South Texas. So I have Orlando Sanchez, that he's also from Cuba. Now he just connect with us, and he's in the Rio Grande Valley. That he's also over there for Platica and politics. And you've been seeing everything that is going on in South Texas. It's amazing. So Orlando, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. I had to pull off on the side of the road. Looks like everybody's in their cars today, right?
Except me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Good
So
morning,
yeah,
Orlando.
I'm up. I'm headed down to McAllen. We have an event there tonight, Texas Latino Conservatives, and we're looking forward to seeing our friends down in McAllen and Harlingen and Cameron County. But Ed, I heard part of your comments to Andrea, and what I wanted to ask you is, what do you think are the issues that's driving the South Texas Latino community towards the conservative side or voting more Republican? What are the issues that are driving that community?
Yeah, it's very clear after spending so much time in these counties. Number one is border security. Listen, I think my community is not against immigration; it's just against illegal immigration. You're seeing the impact in the community very powerfully. I mean, I live 30 miles away from the border in my ranch, and my next door's neighbor's hunting lodge got burnt down. It was a stashing house by the drug cartel, shipping and human trafficking and drug trafficking. And once the authorities found out about it, they burnt it down. My fences are being cut. My ranch hands have been assaulted. Now they can't go out in the fields without weapons. So clearly, our community in the last year and a half or so is beginning to be impacted. I mean, you're seeing in Zapata, for example, where they can't find enough healthcare professionals because these temporary facilities being set up for illegal immigrants are absorbing. They're overpaying. They're paying $65 an hour. If I'm a healthcare professional, do I want to work at Zapata for $15 an hour, or do I want to work for one of these facilities and take care of illegals for $65 an hour? So you're seeing in Hebbronville, they're finding dead bodies of immigrants. And what's happening is, the local community has to pay for the funeral home. They have to pay for the plot. They have to pay somebody to dig the hole. And it's just, and they're not getting reimbursed. So that money should be used for the community. It's being used to address something as simple and sad of illegal immigrants being, dying from rattlesnake bites, from dehydration. So you're seeing the impact in so many different levels. So border security is critical, I think, for the border community. You're seeing it in Stark County, where the arrest of so many individuals about 3 weeks ago, and politicians were involved. You had law enforcement people that were indicted because they're working with a drug cartel. So you're seeing the impact of that illegal immigration, the power that the drug cartels in Mexico have, beginning to infiltrate and damage South Texas. So I think that's issue number one. Issue number two is clearly, we have 30% of our population on government assistance. And the continue to, show checks, give money away. I want to focus on providing high quality jobs. That's so critical. We're losing our young. My nephew just moved to Seattle to work at Microsoft. He couldn't. He graduated from UT Austin, and he couldn't find the same type of jobs in South Texas. So we're losing our young. And I think Latinos want the self-respect. They want to hand up. They don't want to hand out. So I think jobs is issue number two in a very big way. And I think issue number three, clearly, it's family values. You're seeing the impact, the California, the New York mentality, and the control of some of the school boards are beginning to come into South Texas. And, we're seeing the transgender issue where high school kids are basically allowed now. If you feel like a woman, you're a boy, and you feel like a woman, you can go into a woman's bathroom. Issues like that. You're seeing the woman up in Austin where she's giving her child growth, blockers for growth hormones. Because is actually a 7-year-old boy. It should be a girl. I mean, you're seeing the same sex marriages issues. You're seeing abortion. Our community is a very religious, deeply religious, and they're anti-abortion. And you're seeing the battle over Roe versus Wade. So I am very strong, pro-life. I will not negotiate on that. I push for Proposition 3 that we just had, luckily won. I went up to Washington and I met with the National Right to Life organization. Talking about what can we do? What can my community do to make sure that we address, protect the unborn? I mean, that is so critical. So religious issues, the family values, we're about familia. We're most, some of us are Christians or Catholic, but we're very deeply religious. And I think those are some of the issues that I think for Latinos resonate. When I go into South Laredo, block walking, I get the, we get that feedback that no, look, we're Democrats, generations of Democrats. And I ask them, what are your values? And they talk about what they believe in. And honestly, it's conservative values. So we have an opportunity here. We just got to get out there and speak the language and listen. I think that's what most politicians don't do. They don't listen enough. They all want to talk, but they don't want to listen.
What do you think is the biggest fail in the Republican Party, when it comes to address the Latino community?
I look at the state organization, and I went to the Lubbock SREC meeting, and I look at the members, and they're not reflecting the 40% that all of Texas is, right? 40% of Texas is Latino. That's not the numbers that I see, and I think that holds the Republican Party. You need to reflect your community, and I think it's so important that we continue to encourage our Latino young, whether it's the young Republicans, and help them develop them so that the state party begins to reflect, the composition of our community, and really go so they can go out there and talk to the community and convince the community that we're there for them and that we care. And I think that's one of the issues that I think, I don't think Republicans don't do enough outreach into the communities. The Republican parties for a long time have written off the Latino votes. They've always believed that the browning of America is a Democrat trend. And I think the Democrats believe that. That's why they're about open borders, because that's the future recruiting tool that they have. And that's why they don't want to be aggressive in addressing illegal immigration. It is their future. But I think they're both mistaken. You're seeing the trends here. So the election in November, some of the Latinos that won, now the RNC is realizing that, and the RNC is opening up local offices. They opened up recently in Laredo. They opened up in McAllen. They opened up in San Antonio. They're not giving up on the Latino vote, but for a long time, I think they did. I think now they're waking up and saying, listen, this might be, and that's a game changer. If Latinos start voting Republicans, where this changes the whole demographics of elections, and it's a great opportunity. So I think we just have to do more outreach. I think our values are correct. The win is on our back, and we just need to go out there and tell the story, and we need to reflect the community. So I think those are the two, quote, failures, if you want to call them failures or disappointments, as I see as a conservative for so many years. I think it was a mistake. Cubans for a long time couldn't understand why we were so conservative. Have always been Republicans, and yet some of the Central American Latinos have been very heavy Democrats. And we never understood. We said, listen, either the Cubans are wrong or the rest of Latinos are wrong. And I think, over time now it's beginning, they're beginning to understand. And I think it's coming and they're beginning to reflect a lot of the views that Cubans have always held, that the Republicans, the right side of history.
Totally agree. I don't think, the rest of the world understood why Cubans were so conservatives, especially in this country. Nobody understood till now when, look at what happened in Venezuela. Look at what is going on in Central America. South America is getting contagious with the socialism. So I think now other countries in Latin America are understanding more why Cubans are very conservatives, because you guys were you flee from socialists, from communists, from that horrible situation that it's been forever in your country. And now Venezuela is facing that. Now Venezuelans are leaving the country, or they will start leaving the country decades ago because of the same reason. When Venezuela is a rich country, millionaire country with the oil and gas, all the time they were like, I remember when I was little, Colombians used to go to Venezuela. I am from Colombia, so Colombians used to go to Venezuela for the better opportunities for work because it was such a rich country. And now Venezuelans are going to Colombia and are going everywhere in the world because of the same reason. So I think now we are understanding why Cubans were conservatives.
That's right. No, you can see it. I mean, we're very pro-gun, right? I'm not compromising on anything having to do with guns. And people say, why are you so adamant about guns? It's not just about security. My father used to say, they would ask my dad, why don't you stay in Cuba and fight, right? And he would say, socialism can win through the ballot, but there's only one way you can get them out. It's through guns, right? Cubans did have that. They don't have guns. The government owns guns. Same things happen in Venezuela. So they're not going to touch my gun, regardless of these laws. I'm going to fight to make sure that we have the right to bear arms. So listen, Cubans have been the canary in the mine. And I'm here to tell you that we can sense it, we can taste it, we can see it. And unless we react, unless we, jump in the race, in the fight, we're going to lose the fundamentals that made this country great. And we really appreciate this country and what it stands for. And we're seeing being undermined. So again, I think we, as Cubans and as Cuban Americans, we're out there and we could just simply, sit back and enjoy the success we had in this country. We've got to get in there and fight.
Correct. So, how do you see the future in Texas? Because we're seeing a lot of people coming from New York, from California, as you were saying. You were saying also earlier that your son went to Seattle because here there was not opportunities in his career. But now we're seeing a lot of companies coming to Texas, especially in Austin, and we've been seeing these, for the good and for the bad. So we've been seeing many companies moving to Texas, tech companies and all kind of companies are moving to, Tesla is already here in Texas. So that's a good opportunity, job opportunities for people in Texas. But also we're seeing people from California and New York coming to this state. Uh, they don't like what is going on over there, but we are afraid because we don't know what is going to be the way or the future in Texas if we have this wave of people coming. So we don't know if they're fleeing that situation and not bringing it here, or they're just bringing it here. So how do you see what is going on right now?
Well, listen, I've spent time in Austin. It's not part of my district, but obviously, it's critical. And I'm telling you, it doesn't belong in Texas. The liberal views there that are coming in, people don't understand. They left California for a reason. It doesn't work. Those policies they have there just does not work. And yet they come here and they're Democrats and they try to implement some of the same ideas. You could see the homelessness in Austin. You could see, the deterioration of the community there. And so I'm very concerned about what's happening in Austin and the fact that that could be the ground for some of those policies to be pushed out. You're seeing the Democrats attacking our school boards, and that's really a very dangerous thing. I mean, they're starting to move a lot of those crazy California, New York policies into our communities through the school boards. So I think we've got to focus locally to make sure that these transplants don't convert and don't bring those crazy ideas and policies that made California a basket case. It's made New York one of the highest taxing states in the country. And people are fleeing, coming to Texas, but they're bringing some of those policies down here that can only harm our community. So, I'm talking to my pastors, I'm talking to reverends, I'm talking to the priests that I deal with, and I'm saying, listen, you got to join the fight. Let's get into the school board. Let's make sure that we protect our biblical values and what made this country and this state great. Let's keep taxes low. Let's not keep, increasing the taxes. You're seeing locally in my communities, from Webb County, Laredo, all the way to Rio Grande City, you're seeing local taxes going up, and it's just putting tremendous pressure on my community. Taxation. I just signed the federal tax pledge, where I'm not going to increase taxes. You're not going to convince me to increase taxes. Governments, whether it's state, federal, or local, should not be an allocator of capital and resources in our communities. We can't afford to have that. We can't continue to see the expansion of government, whether it's local or state or federal. We've got to reduce regulations. I for a time there, I actually ran a small business, and the regulation, the overburden that we placed on our small businesses is just staggering. So we can't have those crazy policies, California, New York, filter into our community. Listen, great jobs and great opportunity. They're going into Austin, but let's spread it out. Let's go to the Permian Basin. Let's come down to South Texas. Come down to the border, right? I mean, we got great weather, we got great roads, we have great hardworking people. Let's expand out into other areas. These high quality jobs that we're seeing. But for Tesla to come to Austin because there's the taxation is high, because of traffic issues, and then come down and bring some of those ideas. It's just going to make us the new California. We can't afford that.
I know that you've been watching the race for the governor position in Texas, and Robert Francis O'Rourke has a platform because you were talking earlier about the situation that you face on your ranch, as most of us that are property owners in South Texas face, which is the undocumented aliens, the illegals coming through our ranches. But Robert Francis said, hell yes, he's going to take our guns. So people like you and your neighbors that have to defend themselves, you're going to be left essentially defenseless if he takes away our Second Amendment right to bear arms.
Yep. No question. I mean, I think Beto, the Irishman, is joining the race is very concerning to us. I think we have to rally behind one of the Republican candidates and really support a candidate. Beto is a very dangerous, progressive. He doesn't really reflect our community. I mean, he's failed in several elections because he doesn't represent our community. And I think we have to make sure that he doesn't, plant the flag for the progressives in Texas, and really shift the state, government in a direction we don't want. So we've got to build a firewall against Beto and what he stands for in Texas, and really rally behind one of the candidates that we're seeing on the Republican side.
Good. All right. Well, I don't know how much time we have because I've been in and out. My internet down here is not as strong as I would have liked. But Ed, thank you for being with us, and it's really a pleasure meeting you. Unfortunately, we have to do it online, but I look forward to meeting you in person when we're down in the
Absolutely.
Rio Grande Valley and down in South Texas.
I look forward to
Ed,
that. Thank you so
I
much.
know you have to leave, so just before you leave, call to action. So where people can find you, support you, what they can do to help you.
Thank you so much. You can go to Ed Cabrera for SouthTexas.com. I have the same for the Facebook. Listen, just join the fight. Put up a yard sign. Help with the block walking. Our phone bank. If you've got a couple nickels, throw it into the donation. And if you can't do any of that, listen. Pray for me, and that's more powerful than anything else. So thank you so much, guys, and I look forward to meeting as many people as possible out there, and tell them my story, and have them make a decision. We've got to turn this country and the state in red, and I think it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of people joining forces. So go out there and get involved. So thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you
Take
so
care, Ed.
much, Ed, and good luck. And we'll see you. I think you're going in the primaries, right?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So we will have you back in the program. Thank you so much for your time, and I know you have a meeting to go right now.
Thank you so much. Be well.
You too. Okay, Orlando will tell us what are you doing over there in South Texas.
Well, we have another one of our gatherings that we normally do down in South Texas. We'll be in McAllen at the RNC Community Center. We're looking forward to that. Of course, we have a lot of friends down in the RGV, and so we're always down in Harlingen and Cameron County, McAllen area, Brownsville. And so I left Houston this morning, and I've stopped in the beautiful city of El Campo. And then as soon as the program's over, I'm going to get back on the highway and head down to McAllen.
You coming back when?
Well, I'm coming back to Houston on Thursday, so I'll be in McAllen tonight.
Okay. So tell us what is going on in South Texas with all the candidates
Well,
and
I mean,
who's
I
going to
can tell
attend
you,
the Plática and Politics today.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm hoping a lot of the folks in the community are going to attend. So I've been in Houston, but I'm headed down there. But well, I'll tell you what's going on in South Texas is what is amazing to me, Andrea. As you know, the filing deadline stopped. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday was a filing deadline if you wanted to seek the Republican nomination. And what's amazing to me is across the state of Texas, the numbers of Latinos that have filed to run in positions everywhere from Congress down to district clerk and tax assessor collector across the state of Texas. This is an unprecedented number of Hispanics running to seek the Republican nomination. And I think this just foretells what's coming in 2022. I mean, and so you have the former mayor of Del Rio, Robert Garza, filed as a candidate to seek the Republican nomination for Senate District 19 against a Democrat incumbent. You have Ed Cabrera, we just had on the program, seeking the nomination to represent his community in Congress. We have three Latinos, three Hispanics vying for the position of Harris County judge to seek the nomination. And then we have several candidates that are running for all judge, district courts, civil courts, criminal courts. And so I am so excited because this is exactly what TLC was about. Texas Latino Conservatives got started to encourage Latinos to join the conservative movement across the state. And so we're seeing across the state everywhere from conservative city council members that are Latino to conservative mayors that are Latino to all the positions in counties, whether it's treasurer, district clerk, tax assessor, collector, judges, county judges, commissioners court, justice of the peace, sheriffs, and constables. The number of Latinos that have filed to run for office this year is absolutely unprecedented. And I'm excited about that because that's exactly what we're looking for.
We didn't see that before, and I think everything that is going on in the country this year, with the new administration, it's encouraging the conservatives Latinos to file and to run for office.
Yeah, and like Ed talked about, because Ed has a ranch down in South Texas. And Andrea, as you know, I'm a property owner down in Kinney County. And the plight of the property owners in South Texas is almost unbearable. What they have to put up with the illegal crossings, their properties being trampled, as Ed said, their fences being cut, their cattle being set loose. People don't think about this, but in Texas, a head of cattle is several hundred, if not thousands of dollars if you're using it for breeding. Some ranchers could use, Seminole bulls, maybe worth 10, 15, $20,000. And people don't understand that when you cut the fences, the livestock get out. And not only do you lose money in livestock, but you create a danger on the highway. And so South Texas Latinos and ranchers are having a very tough time. And it's sad that the federal government will not address the issue. As you can tell, the state of Texas has devoted substantial resources. We've depleted all of our Department of Public Safety state troopers from counties across the state of Texas, and we've had to send them down to the Rio Grande Valley and the South Texas. That is the responsibility, Andrea, of the federal government. We as taxpayers pay federal taxes every year for the federal government to protect us. And part of that protection includes the border, and that the federal government is absolutely doing an abject job and is an abject failure at protecting Texas and Arizona and New Mexico and Southern California. But Texas, because we have the longest border with Mexico, we're suffering because not only are the resources being depleted on the border, but those illegal aliens that get through come to our cities and deplete our resources in our counties and in our cities. So we're in bad shape here in Texas.
Orlando, last night we were attending an event for one of our dear friends that he is running for a Republican nomination for a Harris County judge. And after you left, they were talking about the participation in the primaries in the Latino community. And they're saying that it's very poor participation and that they, how to change that. So they were like trying to figure it out. How do we change that? How do we encourage the Latinos not only to bring them to vote more in the general elections, but to also participate in the primaries. And the primaries we're having around the corner in pretty much 2 months.
Well, the way to encourage the Latino community to participate in the primaries, first of all, is to let them see the candidates and hear the issues. For far too long, Republicans never went into what we call the barrios, no, the community, the Hispanic community. And sadly, still to this day, there's not a lot of Republicans that are seen. But the good news is, Andrea, as you know, and I mentioned, that there are hundreds and hundreds of Latino candidates now seeking the Republican nomination. And I can assure you that those Latino candidates, whether it's Oscar Gonzalez running for county judge or Vidal Martinez running for county judge, or the other lady that's a former military veteran running for county judge, all three Latinos are going to be working the Latino community, speaking in Spanish on the local media, and encouraging Hispanics to participate in the Republican primary. It's going to be a little slow because, it hasn't been done. That's the hard grassroots work that needs to be done. And that's where we come in as Texas Latino Conservatives. As you know, we train the young people, we encourage them to be candidates, and we encourage them to take their issues to the barrios, to the streets, to the churches, to the neighborhoods, and talk about, as Ed said, our common values as conservatives. Because at the end of the day, the Latino family is a conservative family. So when they hear that message from a fellow Latino or fellow Hispanic, and by the way, you don't have to be Hispanic or Latino. We have a lot of great African Americans that hold the same values we do of family, and they're spreading the message. What's phenomenal to me is to see the number of African Americans and Latinos that are now running in the primary. We just elected the lieutenant governor of Virginia, an African American woman, Latina, from the Caribbean. I mean, we elected the attorney general in Virginia who's Hispanic. And we're going to accomplish all that in the state of Texas. And it's going to take a while, but I'm telling you, with the hundreds of candidates running for the Texas House and for the Texas Senate and sheriff, our own Attorney General, Eva Guzman, running to seek the Republican nomination for Attorney General of Texas. All that is going to encourage Latinos to get out and vote for these candidates. And these candidates, by the way, are perfectly bilingual. As you know, our friend Vidal Martinez is bilingual. Eva Guzman is bilingual. The former mayor of Del Rio, seeking the nomination for Senate District 19, is bilingual. Freddie Arellano, who was the chairman of the Republican Party of Maverick County, is bilingual. As you know, Dan Corrales, who just became the city councilman, the only city councilman that's Hispanic at Midland, all bilingual. I'm bilingual, you're bilingual. And so we're getting the message out to the community, and the community is responding. So we will see larger number of Latinos participate in the Republican primary process.
We have a comment, Gloria Bermejo. She said, as Tarrant County goes, so does Texas. Please consider visiting Fort Worth, Texas. We support the Southern Border Familia.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's right. And as these major counties in Texas that we have lost, Andrea, I mean, we have to be very honest. We've lost Harris County, we've lost Dallas County, we've lost Tarrant County, we've lost Bexar County, we've lost El Paso County, and we've lost Travis County. I've just talked to you about the six largest counties in Texas have all swung Democrat. The good news is we're starting to build back up. And our polling result and our research says that as Latinos, for example, in Harris County, let me just put Harris County because it's the largest county in Texas, that as Latinos in the inner city become more successful, more entrepreneurial, they move out into the suburbs and they adopt the values of the suburbs and the exurbs. And as you know, the values of the exurbs and the suburbs are more conservative than the inner city. So that's why you see this big shift of Latinos starting to vote conservative, because as Latinos move out of the inner city, out of apartment complexes and into neighborhoods and start becoming property taxpayers. They understand the issues and they start voting like their neighbors. Again, this isn't going to change overnight, Andrea, but we are starting to make the inroads necessary to encourage and educate the Latino community that they need to vote their values. And by voting with the liberal left and Robert Francis O'Rourke, who wants to take away our ability to hunt, to protect ourselves, and to protect our family, that's not a winning message. As you heard Ed Cabrera just say, they're trashing the Border Patrol. The left shows pictures of our hardworking Border Patrol on horseback and making it look like they're whipping immigrants. That's not true. Everybody knows that's not true. And so we have to take advantage of the Democrats' missteps and start promoting the values that are the conservative values of the Latino community. And I think we're doing that, and we're doing an excellent job of that.
When you were off the call because of your internet problems, he was talking about, his background is from Cuba, you are from Cuba, and he said now uh, the countries, other countries in Latin America are understanding why Cubans are so conservative in this country, because now we are facing pretty much same problem that you guys been facing for decades. I mean, not the same, but similar problems. Look at Venezuela and what is going on in Central America and countries like South America. So now it's like we are more understandable why Cubans that were accused many years ago saying like why they're conservatives, that why they vote always Republican. Now they understand better.
Yeah, I mean, Latin America, the Americas, and Mexico's vast. We know billions, if not hundreds of millions of people, different nationalities. You have Argentina, you have Peru, you have Bolivia, you have El Salvador, you have Guatemala, you have Cuba, Venezuela, all of the Caribbean basin, Dominican Republic, Mexico. And a handful of those countries have actually lived under communist Marxist dictatorships, right? So Cubans, as you know, under the revolution of Fidel Castro in 1959, have lived under a communist dictatorship, a Marxist government, for over 40 years, coming up on 60 years, actually. And so that's why Cubans, more than anyone, are so concerned about making sure that constitutional government, that the Bill of Rights, that liberty and freedom shine in this country because we, as exiles in this country, um, understood that all of our property was taken, that all of our free speech was taken, that our ability to worship in the churches or the synagogues that we wanted to worship and were taken away, our ability to gather together in the public square and denounce our elected officials and our government was taken away. And so, Cubans, along with Nicaraguans and now Venezuelans, understand because we've lived under those Marxist leftist dictatorships. So when we hear candidates like the Vice President Kamala Harris, or maybe even Joe Biden, or Bernie Sanders, who said that Fidel Castro was a great guy because he educated the population. Well, what the hell good does it do to educate a population if you don't have any books to read, no internet to look at, you can't assemble, you don't have to watch, you can't watch TV because there's no entertainment? I mean, really, what good is that when you don't have the liberty to express yourself? Where poets and composers don't have the ability to write songs like the song that, these young people in Cuba did that started this whole movement. So, yeah, we've experienced it. We've experienced communism, Marxism, socialism that doesn't work, never has worked, never will work. And so that's why we're concerned that it is creeping into the American political discussion.
And it's so easy for them to talk when they haven't been living in Cuba and facing the reality over there.
Absolutely. I think Bernie Sanders ought to be made to live in Havana, Cuba for about 2 years and then come back and tell us how great it is.
I know. Okay, Orlando, well, I'll let you go. Don't worry. I know you're busy. You have a busy, busy day. I'm going to end the show soon. Anyway, I want to tell everybody that for the next 2 weeks, that is going to be Christmas and New Year, we're not going to have a live show. We're going to rerun some of our popular shows. But I want to invite everybody to check our website, texaslatinoconservatives.com, texaslatinoconservatives.com. Please become a member. Also check our events, our calendar, because at the end of January, we're going to have, again, Leadership Latino. It's going to be in El Paso. It's going to be on a Saturday. We don't know exactly the date yet, but we're planning to do it at the end of the month. And what we do is pretty much, gathering with conservatives, Latinos that they want to be a leaders in their community, be the voice for their community. We teach them from A to Z how to become a candidate and run for office. So that's very important, and it's at no cost. So yes, you go. I mean, and we have people in San Antonio. We have people coming from everywhere in Texas. So just go. It's gonna be just your hotel and your plane ticket, but the seminar, or it's at no cost. We're just doing that because we wanna help our community and our people that wanna become a leader and be the voice for the Latinos and for the community in general here in Texas.
And I want to say to our Mexican friends, now we lost Vicente Fernandez, an absolute, a magnificent voice for many decades in the movies and the music industry. So, we're sorry for our Mexican friends. Mexico has now lost what I consider to be two of the best singers ever, Rocio Durcal and then now Vicente Fernandez. And as you know, they sang together. But it's been a sad day for everybody from Mexico, a sad week, let's say. But I want to
For
wish
the whole
everybody a
world.
Merry,
I am sad. I'm not from Mexico, and I
right?
love, that I love Mexican music, rancheras, y mariachis. I love the music, and Vicente Fernandez is an icon for
He
everybody in the world.
absolutely was. He absolutely was. And in fact, Andrea, we talked about this, and a lot of people don't know this, but people that grew up in the second ward of Houston, which is Houston's East End, absolutely know Memo Villarreal. And back in the 60s, I guess Memo used to be a concert promoter, and he opened up una discoteca, which was the only discoteca that sold exclusively Spanish music. And Memo used to bring these stars to Houston when we had the Sam Houston Coliseum. So one of the things I'd like to do maybe at the beginning of the year is to interview Memo and bring him, so everybody. Memo himself is an icon. I mean, the pictures and the stories he has of Vicente Fernandez and Rocio Durcal and all the absolutely phenomenal. So let's work on getting Memo Villarreal on the program at the beginning of
Sure,
the year.
great
So
friend forever. I
Merry
used to interview
Christmas.
him all the time when I was at
Yeah,
university.
yeah. Merry Christmas to everybody. We want to wish you a happy New Year. As Andrea said, we're going to be off the air, but everybody deserves a break with their family during this very special season. And I'm going to get back on the road and headed down to McAllen and look forward to seeing all our friends down there. So happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Bye, Orlando. Gracias. So as I said, we're gonna be off the air for the following two Wednesdays, but we're coming back January the 5th with the fresh and new program with new guests and with all the energy supporting many candidates for the primaries. And of course, there's going to be a tough 2022 in all elections and general elections in November. So we're going to work so hard all year round to support our conservative candidates, especially the Latinos one that, as Orlando said, it's been a historical situation seeing all the Latinos running for office and signing to run for office. So thank you so much, everybody. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Próspero Año Nuevo. Los esperamos el próximo año en Texas Latino Conservatives and TLC Live. And of course, visit us our website again, TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. Become a member, make your donation. I'll see you guys next year in January 5th. And we're going to leave you with two Christmas greeting messages from two Latino candidates. Hasta luego y nos vemos y feliz Navidad.
Hello, my name is Mano de Ayala. I'm a candidate for state representative in the Houston area, District 133. Wishing everyone at Texas Latino Conservative Live a very, very Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Happy holidays. I'm Vidal Martinez, and I'm here to wish all the families of Texas Latinos Conservative a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, que tengan un buen año, un prospero año, y feliz Navidad a todos.